Hello, we're going to talk about photography tips in this video. This is sponsored by the Auburn Cultural Council, and these tips will all feature sites at the beautiful Goddard Park, which is located in Auburn, Massachusetts. So let's get started, and these tips can help you with any kind of camera, whether it's a cell phone camera, a small handheld camera, or a large format camera. Photography is all about control of light. Pretty much every camera will give you an option to adjust the light coming in to make things lighter or darker. If you look at this image of a plaque at Goddard Park, you will see that it is too dark. The words are pretty much illegible and you can't see much detail in the image, and that's because the camera is set not to let in enough light. So we need to adjust it to add in more light. In this photo, you can see that the exposure has been changed, so now there is a lot of light coming in. But now there is too much light. If you look over to the right, you can see where the sky has turned to pure white. This is known as being blown out. You want to avoid any part of your image being blown out where it's gone to pure white. So there's a balance in here. You want things bright enough so you can see them, but not so bright that things go to pure white in your image. So what you'd want to do is look at your camera's manual and find out how to change the exposure so that way you can get it to just the right amount so you have enough light to see the image, but not so light that it makes areas too bright and draws your eye away from the focus. And then the other thing you could do is cut off that right hand side entirely because it wasn't important in the image and it was distracting from bringing the eye to the thing you actually wanted the people to look at, which was the plaque in this case. So while light and exposure are very key, the composition of the piece, or how you arrange things on the screen or in the print, is also very important. So let's talk a bit about composition. The Goddard Park has a replica of the first ever liquid fuel rocket, which is what Goddard launched in Auburn so many decades ago. Let's say we wanted to take a picture of that replica to show it to people. If we took the picture like this, with the tree in the background and the Polaris missile in the background and the red car, everything would be jumbled. Someone looking at this picture wouldn't even know what they were looking at. Everything crosses on top of each other and the top of the rocket is cut off, and it's just hard to see. So this would be a poor composition. It would not do its job in helping the viewer look clearly at the replica rocket and know what they were seeing. Okay, well, what if we step back a little bit so that the entire rocket was within the frame of the camera? Well, this is certainly better. Now you can see the entire shape of the replica rocket that Goddard had launched. But it is still mushed up against the tree, so it's all blended in with the tree, and there's cars in the background, and the Polaris missile is in the background, and it's just hard to see anything at all. So someone looking at this picture might not even know what it was a picture of, and if you told them, it might be very hard for them to see what the shape of it was. So this is about composition and trying to find a good composition that represents what you want to show. All right, here we've found a different angle. So from this angle, we don't have the giant scraggly tree in the background or the Polaris missile or the cars. It's much easier to see the actual rocket that we're trying to show. But now we've chopped off the top of it, and we're sort of blocking it with the iron of the outside grate. So we'll see if we can try to find a better angle than this. Here we go. Now you can see the entire rocket from the bottom to the top, and you get a good sense of how it's constructed and what the inside looks like and so on. You still have those big iron supports in the way, but that's just the way things are sometimes. You're rarely going to get a perfect angle because there will be things in the way that block you. But at least you can get the best angle that you're able to get given the circumstances you're in. So you want the person who is looking at this picture to have their eye drawn to whatever it is that you want them to see, and you want them to be able to see it clearly. So it's about getting it lit well, and then it's also about getting the right composition so that the person's eye is drawn to what you want them to focus on. What do you think could be improved with this picture? If you said the sky is blown out, then you're right. The sky was overexposed and it went to pure white. So you would want to drop down the exposure a little bit so that the sky got back to its normal blue color and you could still see the other objects in the picture. Also, the picture is a little tilted. You want to straighten it out so that you get a more even sense of the horizon. And finally, the top of the rocket is nearly off the picture and it has a tree branch in front of it. So these are all things that could be fixed by just moving yourself a little bit so that you get a better angle on the rocket, and also adjusting your exposure in your camera so it's not quite so bright. How about this image? What might be fixed here? Well, again, we have a bit of overexposure going on where the sky has turned to pure white and has lost its blue color. And also, the rocket seems to be right on top of that tree branch that's above it. Just a little bit of a slide to the left or right could fix that problem. And you probably want to zoom in a little more so that you didn't have the bright red truck catching your eye in this image. I think you could probably guess what's a little off about this picture. While the sky is nice and blue, we are blocking half of the rocket picture with a branch that we could easily have moved around. Sometimes it's really fun to get an unusual angle on something. So in this case, we are shooting up right up against the side of the Polaris missile. We got the nice blue of the sky, the deep black of the paint, and the white of the paint, and then the lines of the paint job going up the side. So this is an image that might interest a lot of people. So it's not about necessarily getting the most commonplace straight-on image that you can, but you want the image to be well exposed with a range of light and dark, and you want the viewer's eye to be drawn clearly to whatever it is you want to showcase to them. The Goddard Park has a beautiful waterfall, and this is the perfect opportunity to play with your camera's shutter speed settings. The shutter speed indicates how long the shutter is open before it closes again. If you have the shutter open and close, so it is only open for a short period of time, then it will catch things in motion. It will catch a car at a dead stop or a bird at a dead stop, or in this case, droplets of water in the waterfall. If instead you were to have the shutter open for a long period of time, then things would move in front of the camera before the shutter closed again, and that would give you that motion blur sense. So in this case, with the shutter open for a short period of time, it was able to capture things in motion in mid-fall, so you can see the little droplets of water in the waterfall. In this image of the waterfall, the shutter was held open for a longer period of time. That gave the water the chance to move before the shutter closed again. And you can see that the effect is that the water blurs. This is called an angel's hair effect. And this would get you the blurring of a car in motion or the blurring of a dog running across the field. So practice with your shutter speed settings if your camera has one and see how they affect the image that you're taking. These were just a few simple tips to get you started with photography. So it's time to get out and explore Auburn. Go visit the many different parks they have. There's historic buildings, there's lovely parks to go walking through, and of course the Goddard Park. Take pictures, and the more that you practice with your camera, the more that you'll figure out how it works and how to take the pictures that make you happy. Have fun!